welcome back to the Cover 3 podcast here on CBS Sports. That's Tom Fernelli. That's Danny Cannell. I'm Chip Patterson. Time for your week 2 locks. This is very exciting because we as a group have kind of been crushing it. So hopefully you've been following along. Hopefully you have also been a part of this, because Bud Elliott joining the party right now. Bud Elliott leading the charge. So let's go. If you want to watch us, youtube.com/cover3. Those of you that are already watching, we appreciate it. Of course, if you're listening to this on the podcast, like many of our longtime loyal listeners, that is another opportunity for you to participate. Depending on how timing goes, we might be able to take some questions at the end. But boy, we got to jump right into it, because the last week leader, it is Bud Elliott. Bud Elliott went 7-2, cashing NC State -8.5, cashing the first quarter under in UCF Boise, cashing the Northwestern team total under at 24.5. Took an L with Louisville on Monday night. Also cashed the Fresno team total over, Iowa -3. A loss on San Diego State. They couldn't quite get it going in the first half against New Mexico State. But they corrected things. I thought San Diego State got back on track. Texas -8 against Louisiana. Did a good job of jumping all over the Cajuns from the jump. And the Kentucky team total over 23.5. Will Levis and the new aerial attack for the Wildcats looking good. Bud, any notes, any thoughts on your week 1?
2-game losing streak for me here with San Diego State and then Louisville. So got to get that corrected. A couple things like you got to pay attention, in my opinion, to teams that are playing with some pace. We'll talk about this later in the show, but Jimbo's team playing with some pace, a drastic change, and something that I had in my notes from spring. They were playing fast in their spring game, and they played fast as well on Saturday. A little bit curious, is that because Kent State plays so fast? Did they get sucked up into that tempo game with them a little bit? Northwestern's offense, I actually think their QB may not be quite as bad as I thought, but their defense is concerning to me for sure. Michigan State ripped them for a lot of explosive runs. Try to think other stuff here. I want Iowa easily. We'll talk about this later in the show. I don't think that score was quite indicative of how the game was played. I'm excited to get into this. Let's do it.
All right, Danny went 5-3. The wins were UCF Boise under, the over in Ohio State, Minnesota. Fresno +21. Nearly got it done on the field till Anthony Brown sprung loose for a long touchdown run to give Oregon the win. The under 46, Iowa, Indiana. Indiana just never looked like they were going to score. Also, lock agreement on the Texas -8. Losses were Wisconsin -5.5, the under 56 in Florida State, Notre Dame, and San Jose State +14.5. USC's defense keeping Nick Starkel and the Spartans in check. What'd you think?
I think Bud is our locks hero. He was almost not here, like right before the start of the show. And when in my mind, this song popped into my head. He's a Cover 3 locks hero with stars in his eyes. Like, that's all I see now. He's our locks hero. So I might just jump on his coattails and ride him the way the SEC rides Bama. Let's go.
All right.
Look, I have a 10:30 meeting, right? And like they usually let me go first, but occasionally I have some follow-up items, and I tell them I'm jumping it to 10:58, and it's going to be kind of down to the wire every single week.
Well, it means you got to show up. Means that you need to show up on time just so you can be ready for when Bud comes and crashes in like the Kool-Aid man. Chip went 6-4. The wins were NC State. That was a lock agreement with Bud. The over 62.5 in Ohio State, Minnesota. That was a lock agreement with Danny. Got the win on the Bama Miami under. Kansas State -3. One of my favorite plays. I loved that one. Spent a lot of time watching that game, and I think I was one of the few people who did. Cincinnati -13 first half. That was a winner. Marshall -2.5. Took an L on Notre Dame -7.5. Bet the comeback led to a lot of great conversation. I'll take that one right there. A lock fight loss with Tom. You hate to lose them to Tom. But then Tom and I also got a loss on Illinois -4.5. So I would say that and ECU +9.5. That was a big time mistake. And as I said, I believe on one of these podcasts, I am sorry, Chase Bryce. Chase Bryce, I am sorry. I really spent a lot of time this offseason mentioning your name in a way that was disparaging and telling the world that I wasn't going to believe in App State's offense. I thought that App State proved some things to me. Maybe we'll get into that a little bit later. Tom, you had a 4-4 week that included the lock fight win, which I'm sure you're excited about. Nevada plus 3.5. Great way to end the night. The under 64 in North Carolina, Virginia Tech. Never a doubt. Alabama minus 19.5. Never a doubt. A push on the Ohio State minus 14, taking a loss on the Northwestern Michigan State under, thanks to some of those explosive plays that Bud mentioned earlier. The first half San Diego State was also a loss, as was Southern Miss plus 1.5. Notes, thoughts as we turn the page to week 2.
2 500 weeks in a row. I'd rather lose than push a week. So I want some results. I'm not too worried about anything. Not really taking any major lessons away. Just win some, lose some. We'll be fine. Let's move forward.
All right, gentlemen, ready to lock it up?
Let's do it.
We're picking locks.
My blue plate special 5-star locks are coming.
Since 2005 in Service Academy's
Go get these locks. 5-star master lock. Lock it up.
The under is 33-9-1. We've gone over it a million times.
You want these locks?
I'm living and dying every point, every cover.
What's our updated Service Academy record, Tom? I heard you say it on the Early Edge on Wednesday. 33-9-1 is from the Sounder. And I think we've got a couple more unders and no more overs from that Commander-in-Chief's trophy rivalry.
We might be finding out shortly.
Okay. Bud, you have the honors on the tee box, as we mentioned, 7-2 week in week 1. Without a Thursday night slate, I think that we've got an open board. Take us where you want to go.
All right, let's go ahead and do this. I'm trying to do these in order of where I think they could move. Really want to reward people who are watching us live. I'm going to go to Ann Arbor. I played this Michigan -1 when it opened. That did not last very long. I think there's an overreaction here, though. I still believe in Washington's defense. Michigan is without top receiver Ronnie Bell. I do not think they'll be able to push Washington around at the lines of scrimmage. Washington was also without, I think, their top 4 pass catchers last week. It would have been nice to know that before the game, because I would have probably bet Montana, and Montana beat them outright. So I think we have a situation here where people I do think that playing Michigan under a field goal was the right play, but you give me 7 with a good defensive team in Washington. Even though I really do not like John Donovan as an offensive coordinator, if you guys caught my rant on Saturday Night Reaction, I think he is absolutely terrible. This is just one of those hold your nose, give me the points, and bet it. And if you guys are watching this live, let's lock that thing in, because this is definitely going to go back down under 7, in my opinion.
Just so we have proof, I'll show you my sheet. I don't know if you can see it on there, right there. Washington plus 7. That is not me jumping on Bud's coattails, even though I said I was going to. Lock it up. He nailed everything. I think this is a massive overreaction. I think people look and they're like, oh my gosh, Washington got beat by Montana. That is the theme of my picks for the week. It's overreactions and it's hangovers. Like from the week 1 games, overreactions and hangovers, something I'm looking for. Total overreaction. I was not aware they had that. It was 4 receivers they were without because one went down in the game. Washington was. And I'm actually, you know what else I'm going to throw in on this? I'm going to throw an over. No, I'm going over. I think because of that, I think you'll see Washington move the ball a little bit more. And I think Michigan showcased the ability to move the ball on anybody. Give me an over in this one as well. A little 2-for-1 special. Getting back to what my bread and butter was from last year.
The over is an interesting one, by the way. Like if I can, I have some thoughts on that, because I have tempo factor Michigan at 104th slowest, and Washington is like 122nd slowest, right? But I don't really know how to judge what Washington's true tempo is going to be. Although I don't think it's going to be fast, because again, they couldn't throw the ball at all last week with all the guys out. So that's an interesting pick, Danny. I had trouble figuring out a good number for that.
I think it's an interesting pick too, which is why we're going to fight.
Yeah.
Fight.
I'm taking the under. I've got Michigan plus 2.5 from the offseason, but I don't know if I could still lock that one up for the show at this point. But as far as the total, my concern, like Bud, you're mentioning, the reason you're taking Washington is a big part of it is they're defensively, they're a very good team, and you think they're going to be able to keep Michigan in it. And I also think that Michigan, having lost Ronnie Bell, that's going to probably, I don't know, maybe long-term Michigan will be able to figure it out and recover from that and, bounce back. But I think in the short term against a very good defense, that's going to handicap their offense a little bit because that kind of takes the top off of what they can do vertically. They still have Cornelius Johnson, who has shown the ability to do it. It's just, I think you're much more dangerous when you have Bell and Johnson. And then I think on the other side of it with Michigan's quarterbacks, they've got 2 young quarterbacks without a ton of experience going against a defense that I think has always done a very good job of disguising things pre-snap and confusing quarterbacks. So I think that could be a problem for Michigan. And then on the other side, Washington was without its 4 receivers last week, but still, this is a team that from what I saw last year and from what I saw last week is just never in a hurry, never really seems all that interested in big plays, just kind of wants to put together long drives and keep the defense rested.
What'd you say, Tom? You said Washington. Yeah, go ahead.
I asked if you ever seen somebody hand a baby to somebody who is very much uncomfortable handling babies and holding babies, because that's what the Washington offense looks like whenever it has a football in its hands. It just wants no, I don't want that.
No, Washington would so much rather be playing defense, and Washington's really good at defense. That is what they would like to do. I think that's why I was surprised. I've got no play for the locks on this game, but if the Washington offense is able to take charge, then that will be something different.
By the way, did you see? There's a lot of people assuming that Sam Heward could come in, the 5-star freshman, which I think would probably be a good idea at some point. But he's not even listed as the solo backup. They have another 6-year senior that it's kind of an or situation with the backup quarterback. That to me says that Jimmy Lake and company are not comfortable going into him late. And I also would suggest after this game, you would make that switch, give him a full week of practice, because if he's splitting reps with the backups, it's not an ideal situation for him to walk into.
Yeah, I checked in on that too, Danny, and confidence is still with Dylan Morris. Even though the man had 0 touchdowns and 3 interceptions, completed 57% of his passes at 4 yards an attempt. No, it's they seriously must have seen something or were holding stuff back from the game plan in addition to the personnel situation is what I would guess. Very interested to see how this plays out. I feel like I'll learn more than I have confidence.
Are you catching these guys in the comment section dropping their live arbitrage? Our comment section is live arbitraging Kansas Coastal over 46 minus 200, under 46 plus 210.
That is
all some degenerates here, man. This is serious.
I'm here for that's a different language for me. I'll take whatever the special is. All right, Danny, why don't you go next?
All right, I will go. I got a bunch on the board. I'll go ahead and get this one out of the way because I think people have felt like we are, at least I am, an anti-Iowa State person. I don't believe that. It's a battle, the Cy-Hawk game right here. I'm actually going to surprise you a little bit. I think this is one of those overreaction games that you look at. I think a lot of people are playing Iowa in this game. I'm actually going to say that Iowa gets the win for the first time. I'm going to lay the 4 in this spot. I think they kind of were, and it's hard to explain how this could happen after what last year happened against Louisiana, that they come out and be a little bit lethargic against Northern Iowa. But I think this to me is more about Iowa. Their win against Indiana, I think, is being overvalued a little bit. There were 2 pick sixes in that game, which helps obviously make that game a little bit lopsided. Chris Hassel, if he's listening to the Cover 3, hopefully he's not listening to this one, because I'm actually going to go with the Cyclones in this one and lay the points at home at Jack Trice.
Are we fighting again?
Oh, Big Ten. Here we go.
Fight.
Give me Iowa plus 4.5. This line is too big for. I mean, we talked about this a little bit yesterday on the Early Edge, Chip. We did the live show for them on Wednesday afternoons. Matt Campbell has done so much for Iowa State with that program, building it up and taking it to places he's never been. And you think of everything that Campbell's done there, and you think of why his name gets brought up for the Michigan job, and people bring up the possibility of him maybe going to the NFL because he's done a fantastic job. You know what he hasn't done? He's never beaten Iowa. Iowa gets the best of Iowa State every year, and he might beat Iowa this year for the first time. But if he does, it's going to be a close game. So I'm going to take the 4.5 points with an Iowa team that kind of it lost its first couple games of the 2020 season, and we just kind of pushed it to the side and forgot about it. But by the end of last season, Iowa was probably the best team in the Big Ten West, even if Northwestern had the best record and won the division. And to see them come out last week and just absolutely blow Indiana out of the water. Yeah, they had 2 pick sixes. Well, you have to pick the ball off and you have to return it. So like defensively, they're sound. Offensively, they're just Iowa. They do what they do and it works for them. And I think that this is a game that historically has always been kind of close and tight. So I'm always kind of drawn towards the points anyway. The underdog does very well in this rivalry. So I'm taking the Hawkeyes if I'm getting more than a field goal, because I see this as a field goal game.
That's right. A field goal game, as in like a game where touchdowns are hard to come by. And it's strange because when you've got these trends that are showing up all the time, you kind of want to get to them, especially when it's 13-2 in the last 15 meetings. The under has cashed 13 times, the last 15 times that Iowa and Iowa State have played each other. Then I go into it, and Tom, as you mentioned, like Iowa might be one of the best defenses in the country. Brock Purdy, I'm still not scared. I think that Breece Hall probably could have a better game. I think this offense is going to be a little bit more creative as it tries to find ways to get yards and points against this Iowa defense. I think that Iowa State's defense is pretty strong. Oh, and do we know about Charlie Kolar in this game?
I haven't heard anything definitive, but I think he's going to play.
I would imagine that if he's going to at least give it a go on game day, to the point where I am factoring him into this, knowing that he upgrades Iowa State's offense and still comfortable with the under. So I look at this game. I do see a lot of field goals. I see a lot of red zone stops because neither offense is particularly explosive or has those kind of game breakers, particularly at the quarterback position. So I feel really comfortable being able to take this under. If I had a play on the side and had to, I've been kind of leaning in Tom's direction, but my most confident play, which I always try to offer here on the Lock Show, is on the total under.
We have a lock agreement fight. I'm with Tom on this.
Yeah.
Are we not going to play the fight song? Like,
hold on.
I gave you a pause. I didn't let the. There we go.
Fight.
You wanted 2 at once. I had to call for 2 different sounds at the same time.
I've been working on pausing when I know we're going to have a fight and let the music play and not talk over it. And all right, we still got to work on our tempo here. So speaking of tempo, I think that this game will be played fairly slowly. I don't hate Chip's pick of the under. I can't quite get there as a lock, but I think there's a little more value on it. This is extremely public. I don't really care about the public-private stuff all that much. It's a very trendy dog. It's a numbers play for me, right? I make this 2.5. I'm getting 4.5. I'm going to take Iowa plus 4.5. If you want to just go football matchup, I think Iowa State's defense is better suited towards stopping some of these spread teams they play. And Iowa is like anti-spread, right? They don't give a damn about spreading the ball out and chucking it all around. Petrus scares me a little bit, but if he can just give me like one big play in this game, I think Iowa can run the ball decently, and I think Iowa can win.
I'm just excited to debut a new color on this dock.
Oh, for the lock agreement fight?
Yeah, we're going with purple.
There we go.
All right. So we've got so far, purple. I like it. So far, we got Tom with the under in Michigan, Washington, and Iowa plus 4.5. Chip's got the under in Iowa State. Danny's got Washington plus 7, the over in Michigan, Washington, Iowa State minus 4, and Bud on Iowa plus 4.5, Washington plus 7. Okay. I'll go ahead and grab this wheel, and I will take us to Coral Gables or Miami Gardens.
Yes, get it right. It ain't Coral Gables. They wish it was.
Yeah, it's Miami Gardens, where we will be seeing a Miami team looking to bounce back after a drubbing at the hands of Alabama. A little bit extra rest for App State. I mentioned the Chase Bryce apology at the beginning of the show. I think that App State being able to stick to its identity, Cameron Peoples doing a good job as sort of your feature back, Hennigan as your leading receiver and sort of the carryover of the experience. They run behind a pretty solid offensive line, and their defense. Listen, it's always tough when you're going up against like Holton Ahlers and that ECU offense. You're trying to figure out whether the yards they're getting are fraudulent or just a part of the system. But man, the way that they bowed up in scoring opportunities, I think really shows everything that you wanted to see from a Mountaineers defense that traditionally has been really solid. I do think Miami's going to hit explosive plays against this App State defense that it did not hit against Alabama. For sure. Alabama might have one of the best defenses in the country, but I also think that while Alabama has an electric offense and we come out of it talking about Bryce Young, like a Heisman Trophy favorite and the #1 quarterback in the SEC, as we mentioned in our SEC power rankings, I still think that Miami's defense needed something. I needed to see at least the flashes of competition and not more evidence to suggest that there was this large gulf between these two teams. I think that when you factor in, you could call it body blow, you could call it hangover. I just think it is tough to get up for App State in this spot, even though you are looking at a opportunity to try and like blow the doors off them and show that you are a team that can contend for an ACC championship after both Clemson and North Carolina also took losses. It's possible they take them lightly. It's possible they get got, but I think App State covers the spread, so I'm going to lock that up.
I do not agree with you, but I'm not locking it up, so I offer you my full support.
Yeah, my error bars on this one were really big. So I make my numbers every week, and then I pick where do I want to bet this game, right? And I wrote it down: App State +14, Miami -7. I just don't know how Miami's going to react following the Bama game. I don't really know who's healthy for Miami or not. I do know De'Aaron King practiced, so that's encouraging if you like Miami. And I'm not really sure how good App State is because I thought ECU was going to be a lot better than they were, and they just look like crap. And they also committed a bunch of penalties, which helped App State. So I'm staying far away. Like, this is a air bar game.
Yeah, I'm not ready to buy on Chase Bryce just because he beat ECU.
But I'm also not ready to buy Miami caring about this game.
Right.
True.
Little different atmosphere. This game, to me, I'm not playing it, but I think it is one of the more fascinating games of the weekend. And also to tie it in with the Florida State game, they play Jacksonville State. I'm looking at both these teams. Show me maturity, different spots in their program, but they both need to show the maturity to be able to handle a rough loss, whether it was a blowout to Miami or a overtime thriller to Notre Dame, to bounce back. And Florida State, much easier opponent, should house Jacksonville State, but they played down to the level, sleepy atmosphere, same thing in Miami. Show me some maturity from both of these teams. And you talk about a monumental weekend for the ACC. They are in must-win territory. They almost have to go undefeated because I think they're favored in almost every single matchup. They have to win every one, or else it's going to be the embarrassment of the ACC is going to be even worse if they don't.
NC State short favorite at Mississippi State. Pitt short favorite at Tennessee. Both those games losable.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Who's got one? Take us wherever you want to go.
Well, we teased it at the top of the show, so we might as well get it out of the way since everybody knows it's coming. Since 2005, no, in the drop at the beginning, in the jingle to start, I mentioned that since 2005, the under in games between service academies is 33-9-1. That drop is from a few years ago. The number has changed. It is no longer 33-9-1. It is 38-9-1. I am taking the under in Air Force and is it Navy or Army? I can't even remember.
Navy.
It's Navy. Thank you.
I
completely spaced. It's Navy, Air Force. I can get it. It's at 41 right now. I got it earlier this week at 45.5. Honestly, I don't care how low it gets. Just take it. It's a pretty simple philosophy. They're both option teams. They run the ball a lot, although Air Force passes more often than the other Navy or Army do, but it really hasn't had an impact on the trend. But these are two teams, they run the ball nearly all the time. The clock never stops. There's very few possessions for either team over the course of a game. A lot of times, each team only gets the ball once per quarter, so they're getting about 4 to 6, 7 possessions per game. It's really hard to go over this total unless they're scoring on every single drive, and they usually don't. So we are taking the under 41 in Navy Air Force.
Tom, you want an additional stat that'll make you feel pretty good?
Yeah, sure. I love stats that make me feel good.
Marshall sacked Navy 9 times. I don't know if you guys dug into that box score. I did not. I just saw the stat on Twitter. I wish I could credit whoever did it. That's pretty incredible because Navy only threw the ball
like 10 times.
12 plus 4. Navy had 16 passes. Like they threw 16 passes and they were sacked 9 times. So that's like 25 dropbacks total.
So
over a third
That's
of
a
the
high
time.
sack rate.
Navy found itself in a 21-0 hole fast. You know, defense is supposed to be the better part of Navy, and I think Marshall scored touchdowns on 3 of its first 4 possessions. Like Navy was, again, sicko. I did get in on Marshall and Navy. Navy was out of its comfort zone like right away. It was pretty ridiculous, and there was some. Once they did get into scoring position, I think they had 2 missed field goals and a couple turnover on downs. Like it was not a great performance. Like Navy still ran the ball for 330 yards in that game, but just could not be efficient in time. I think that so Navy has not lost to Air Force at home since 2011, and these 2 teams have alternated home away winner since 13. My lean in a lower scoring game would be to lock up Navy, but I do think that Navy might have one of the 7 worst offenses in the country. And for that reason, I'm staying away from it. But as a matter of principle, give me that under as well, because that's what I want to be doing on CBS. It's a game that you, of course, can also watch on cbssports.com or through the CBS Sports app for free, $99. I mean, it's Brad Nessler, it's Gary Danielson, it's Jamie Erdahl. It's everything that you want the college football season kicking off on Saturday, 3:30 Eastern time. There will also be a lot of like extra September 11th tributes built into this game. I'm sure it'll be quite a scene from there in Annapolis.
You guys are un-American. I mean, just thinking this game's going to be ugly. I mean, yeah, just like insulting these teams. But since we're going with that theme, I guess, since we're all communists on here, I'll go next. All right.
Yeah.
Because, you have another play in that game?
No, I'm saying there's nothing more American than a service academy under.
Yeah.
That's the most American thing possible.
All right. I'm going with the other service academy that's in action. Army. Talked to Jeff Monken this morning. Love what they're doing too. Like, hey, 9/11, unbelievable what these young men and the women that attend these service academies do for our country. That should go without saying, right? They're a 7-point favorite. They're a touchdown favorite against Western Kentucky, a team they've never beat before. Bailey Zapp threw 7 touchdowns last week. 7 for Western Kentucky. I think Western Kentucky keeps it close. Like I just think this is going to be within a touchdown. And you know what else I'm going to do? Since I'm a Patriot, I'm going to say it's going to be a shootout. I think there's going to be a lot of points because Western Kentucky gave up 21 last week to UT Martin. I think Army could go running up and down the field with their 3 quarterbacks that they shuttle in and out. But I think Bailey Zapp will have his way too. So give me Western Kentucky and the touchdown and the over 52.
2-4-1 specials. Here at the Grill. Let's go.
You guys all play 2 hands of blackjack, right? Like when you go play blackjack, you play 2 hands, right? You have to.
Of course.
Yeah.
No.
I don't gamble, Danny.
No. I'm at the cheap video one with the pretty girl who comes by and just sort of waves her hand as the
Wait, Chip is grinding comps.
I mean, I have found that I get less in my head about the dealer if it's artificial intelligence, even if there's something built into the algorithm that's going to leave me to lose. If it's like, me and a couple people just waiting for Danny or Bud grinding on their double hands. We're trying to move to go to dinner and I just need to kill 10 minutes and lose $20,
I'm looking to get more than dinner.
All right, let's go to who needs to come fill in. Bud, where do you want to go?
I'm just going to stay square as hell and trust my numbers here. They've been pretty good so far this year. The numbers say that like this is not a play because the numbers will tell you that Mississippi State got very unlucky to be in that game last week against La Tech. I think La Tech had several defensive touchdowns or at least turnovers that set them up deep inside Mississippi State territory. I think Mississippi State's a better football team. I think they're going to go in there and win the game. Or excuse me. I think NC State is a better football team rather than Mississippi State. Sorry. I bet this at pick It's still under a field goal. I'm somewhat worried that it's still under a field goal. I thought more people would agree with me. I just think NC State, maybe people are writing off that Thursday night game as USF sucks, and they do. But I think NC State is a legitimate, pretty good football team. I think they can hold up on both lines of scrimmage against Mississippi State, and I think they'll outscore them. So go ahead and give me NC State on the road. -2.
Yeah, the numbers are just underrating NC State. They did at 6.5 on the win total. They did at 18.5 against South Florida, and they haven't caught up. It's a very, very good football team. And it's a tough spot. I acknowledge that. But, if you're going to say it with your chest ever since July, as we have, you got to take them in this spot. So I will lay the short number with NC State as well.
Not locking it up, but you have my support.
Okay. Is anybody going to go take like the very, if you care about this kind of stuff, like the very anti-public dog in Mississippi State?
No
lock fight. All right.
No, because there's just even if there's like the points off turnovers, and Louisiana Tech is not a team that I'm going to expect to play according to the scoreboard at that level the rest of the season. I think they're going to get into Conference USA, and they're not going to find themselves in the top 4 or 5. I don't know. Like middle Conference USA gets a little messy, but they ain't top tier Conference USA or CUSA, as Kevin Sumlin once told Bruce Feldman in a very revealing look into the life of Conference USA coaches from back in the day. I believe that Mississippi State's defense, because they had players missing who are still suspended from the fight at the end of the bowl game, correct?
Against Tulsa, was it?
Yes, the bowl fight was
right.
Tulsa,
Yeah,
and I think that we still had some missing, and they will be back. And I think that Mississippi State will not be as disjointed. It might be a tough game for NC State to win, but I mean, look at like Ricky Person Jr. is running like a man possessed right now. We talked about Bam Knight all preseason, and I think we need to give some respect to the 5th-year senior who is running behind a really, really good and experienced offensive line. Defensively, finally seeing the transfer, Daniel Joseph, who's been at NC State for a minute. He flashed on a couple of plays. It's a good, experienced football team, and I think that they're going to be able to go take care of business. So I'm with you. All right,
I'm going to go to the biggest game of the week. This is going back to an earlier mailbag from the offseason.
Yes.
We've got a house divided, gentlemen. It's Penn State versus Ball State. And Matt Kinsley, he reminded me of the story this week. This was already going to be on the card either way, but I'm shouting you out for the DM. You're not going to like it. I mean, don't worry. I think Penn State's going to win, but I am taking Ball State and the points simply because this is the classic trap game spot. Penn State is coming off of a huge road win against Wisconsin last week. It's got Auburn looming next week, and this is a Ball State team that has been good in the MAC. It's been one of the better MAC programs of the last few years. And I think that 23 points, just a little too much against the Penn State offense that I think was very big play dependent. And I think Jahan Dotson will be able to get open at times against this Ball State team too. But over 3 touchdowns, I wouldn't be shocked if late in the second half, when Penn State feels it has this game in control, it sends out the reserves, get them some snaps to start getting ready, make sure everybody's healthy for the Auburn game. So give me the Cardinals plus 23.
Man, I'm so glad you did that. Someone had to.
It's
the
biggest rivalry of the week.
It is the biggest in the Cover 3 family. Ball State, Penn State is one of the biggest rivalries that we're going to have. I'm glad to shout it out. The house divided there, 22.5. I can't join you. I'm sorry.
You get 23.
Okay, so I will also add Ball State
Huge
is
difference between 22.5 and 23.
Ball State is one of these like 17 super senior teams, and they won the conference last year, having one of their best seasons in decades. And I think that Mike New, the head coach, former Ball State quarterback, is like has that thing going in the right direction. They've definitely been looking at this. Like Ball State didn't look good in week 1, which might, be throwing off the scent. Maybe Ball State is got Penn State as its Super Bowl, and it was a look ahead spot. But I think that when Penn State's backups do come in, and I think they will, they are going to have a big time age disadvantage against all these super seniors. But I'm nervous that the talent advantage is still heavily in the Nittany Lions' favor. So I'm going to stay away, but I'm going to support the Ball State play from here. And also, I don't want to just like copy you on all of these. You got to it first. You texted me about this on Monday. This is your dibs on the content perspective.
You don't just invite Muncie, Indiana in your home and not expect them to make a mess.
That's true. That's your fault, Penn State. Sandy Barber, when Ball State comes in and knocks over a vase and deprograms your universal remote, that's what you are paying them to come do. All right.
Coming up about some stuff. Oh,
okay.
Shoot, my bad, Chip. No, I'm not going to lock it up. I thought about the over 30 in the first half here. Penn State is going back to playing with tempo under Yursich, and Western Carolina did hit some stuff over the top against Ball State. I really don't like. I don't like this Ball State team, man. But I agree with Tom. There's factors I don't really want to play against them because the look ahead stuff. Man, I hope this gets steamed. If this gets down to 21, I'm going to play Penn State.
So if it gets to 21, then you would jump on the Nittany Lions?
Yeah. So would I probably, yeah.
Interesting. Coming up on the other side, more of our week 2 locks next. So to review what we've got so far, Tom is got Service Academy unders, the under in Michigan, Washington, Iowa plus 4.5, Ball State plus 23. Chip's also on Service Academy under, App State plus 9, the under in Cyhawk and NC State minus the shorty at Mississippi State. Danny, Washington plus 7, the over 48 in Michigan, Washington, lock fight against Tom. Iowa State minus 4, lock fight against Tom. And Western Kentucky plus 7, shout out to Bailey Zapp. And the over Army, Western Kentucky 52. Bud's got Washington plus 7, Iowa plus 4.5, NC State minus 2.5. Bud, what you got?
All right. I've stayed with some normal type games so far. Let's go ahead and go to Fort Worth. I've got something here I like. Cal-TCU under 24.5 in the first half. So Cal, one of the absolute lowest adjusted depth of targets last week, which basically means they don't throw the ball downfield at all. Their run game was actually decent. So I think that like Justin Wilcox will probably lean on the run game even more early on in this one. TCU is not really playing with a whole lot of tempo. And I even though I like TCU's explosive play potential, because Cal does kind of give you those one-on-ones, I think under 24.5 is a really good look here. I made the number 21.5. So I'm getting a field goal against my number in a half, which is pretty good value. This is one of my favorite bets the entire week.
I'm not locking anything in this game up, but along the same kind of lines. That's why it narrowly missed the final card, but I'm on Cal plus 11.5 here too.
I mean, that is too many daggum points for the Cheez-It Bowl rivalry.
Yeah, this is
they played too iconic of a Cheez-It Bowl with 9 combined interceptions for us to think that there's going to be enough points anywhere to cover 11.
I will not let Grayson Muhlstein's legacy be tarnished by a blowout.
I like it. Danny.
I don't like our fighting as much with my guy Tom. Like, he's my guy. I'm gonna go to Charlottesville. I'm gonna take Brandon Peters is back, baby. Give me Illinois getting 10 points. I mean, is the ACC that great? Like, we're all of a sudden we're just going to assume. By the way, I think UTSA was just a better team against Illinois. Like, I don't think that was that shocking of a game, that outcome. I think Illinois is still going to be a much better team throughout the year. And do we trust Virginia after a blowout win over William and Mary yet? Like, no. So give me Illinois and the 10 points against Virginia.
I appreciate it. I'm staying away from it. Also,
I couldn't lure you in.
What's with the 11 a.m. Eastern start?
Oh no, sleepy, slow start.
Like we'll be doing the HQ pregame, and there'll actually be a game going on while we're on there. It makes
you're going to be so distracted during that show.
This will be me the entire show.
The clock is off, and I don't know if there's I'm I hope I am not being disrespectful right now. My head has been in the sand. I put in nothing but work to be able to put together like this show and all the content. Is there some like national like tribute or something? Because the whole clock is off. We're on 1 o'clock kickoffs on ESPN. You've got like 4:30s for the afternoons. You've got this 11 a.m. game. Like everything seems like it is a little bit staggered from what we're used to. Or the TV network people. Obviously,
is it all soccer's fault? Is it all soccer's fault? Because I was told that's why we're doing our preview show at 10:30 as opposed to 11. We blamed it all on soccer. Maybe it's soccer's fault. That's my story.
Well, I think like the Notre Dame start time is different. I think just because if it's a Peacock start and they kind of want like an exclusive window. I don't know about anything else though.
Well, I'll tell you that Air Force and Navy is at its regular American time, 3:30 p.m. Eastern time on CBS, the network of stars, America's most watched network. So we're still delivering the goods when you're used to it. All right. I am going to find probably one of the biggest discrepancies in how I view these teams. And if I lose, I'm pretty sure it will only be because the Pokes let me down. I'm laying those points with Oklahoma State against Tulsa. I do not think that Tulsa is a very good team. And that is not an overreaction to the UC Davis loss as much as it's me sticking to my analysis going into the season. And to lose to UC Davis, who, by the way, is a pretty good FCS program, I think that you saw an offense last year for Tulsa that was just trying to hold it together. And the defense was really dominating to the point when Zaven Collins was even scoring touchdowns for that Tulsa team. Zaven Collins is gone. A few other key defenders from that Tulsa defense that was very, very good, they are all gone. And I just think that even though this Oklahoma State team has not displayed the kind of explosiveness that you might associate with like a Mike Gundy coached Oklahoma State offense, I think the team as a whole is just so much better than where Tulsa is at. I have been just dropping Tulsa in my American Athletic Conference pecking order rapidly, and the week 1 performance did nothing to really change that. I feel pretty comfortable all the way up to, I might even cross 14 if you made me.
Whoa.
I'm happy to get it under 13. So I will lay the 13 with Oklahoma State.
I didn't see really any of Oklahoma State last week, so I'm not really in a position to make a play on this one.
Yeah, I want to let the viewers, I want to let the listeners know, if I lose this, I feel like it's because Oklahoma State has let me down because this is a big fade on Tulsa.
Somebody called me out earlier, and they're 100% right. Like, undisciplined Danny, let's fight.
Yes.
So,
Fight.
So, shout out my guy, Dan Hawkins, UC Davis head coach, the Aggies, for the massive upset. Don't want to take anything away from that. 9 players suspended for that game against UC Davis, 6 for the entire game, 3 for a half. It was ugly. It shouldn't be an excuse. I still think they have some fight in them, enough to cause some problems for Oklahoma State. I still think this is one of the better teams in the American. I think those players out had a massive mental and physical disadvantage for Tulsa, getting them back their first start of the season. Plus, Spencer Sanders back in the starting lineup after COVID restrictions. Curious to see, maybe he's a little bit rusty. Early start, 11 a.m. local. Maybe you're looking, they lost to an FCS team. You don't take them too seriously. I think you could see a closer game here in the fourth quarter than Oklahoma State fans would like to see. So give me Tulsa and them points.
Yeah. I did not wake up this morning thinking we were going to get an Oklahoma State Tulsa lock fight.
Yes. What do I get, 13?
I can get you 13.5.
Even better.
I really thought about going Tulsa team total under here, by the way. Because I have more confidence in Oklahoma State's defense than I do in Oklahoma State as a whole team.
That is the strongest of the 4 units in this game.
Well, let's see. Let me check. I didn't notice this until just now, fellas. But it's going to be hot, so it doesn't really have the same kind of impact. But we've got like 18, 20 mile per hour winds just blowing on through Boone Pickens on Saturday morning.
It's gonna be windy.
I might do this. Water. I can fire this in here. I usually pick out my bets before the show starts, and now Chip has kind of talked me into this. You know what? Yeah, give me that Tulsa 8.5 under first half team total against Oklahoma State. Let's go.
Tulsa
Under
first
8.5.
team total
Under 8.5.
Under 8.5. Amazing. I love it.
But they're gonna score a touchdown on like their first drive, and Bud's just gonna be sweating for the next hour and a half.
There's no chance I'm watching that. That'll be one of those stat broadcast watches only.
All right. So we have not. No one's mentioned the nice little regional battle as Steve Sarkisian takes that Texas team on up to face Arkansas, and I think that Texas is the right side, and I think this number is probably shorter on like an upset alert type analysis, but I just didn't see a lot outside of some penalties that really gave me a lot of concern about Texas against Louisiana. I thought it was a really, really thorough win. They made some mistakes, without a doubt, but I thought that Hudson Card did, for the most part, what you wanted to see him do within the context of this offense. I think that defensively, they did a good job of getting off the field on third downs. Demarion Overshawn's awesome. Like maybe one of my favorite defenders, definitely in the Big 12, but sort of on that list that you tune in and you really get excited to watch him fly around and make plays. And he was doing that as advertised. I really feel like this is a game that Texas is gonna win by a touchdown or more. So I feel confident. Am I getting at under 7 still? Are we at 7?
I can get you 7. That's the best we can find.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna stick with the principle here. I had it as 6 on my sheet, but let's go ahead and lock it in at 7 before it moves a little bit more. But I think Texas takes care of business, man.
Play the children. Yeah, I just think that Texas is a better football team than Arkansas. And I know that Arkansas had that late rally last week to come back and get that cover, but I don't think they're going to have that same opportunity against this Texas team that I was just impressed by in their opener against Louisiana last week. And I thought that the offense ran smoothly. I thought that Steve Sarkisian did a very good job as a play caller. I think that they highlighted and used all the right people at the right times. And I think defensively, I mean, Louisiana's kind of one-dimensional, so they were able to kind of hone in on that, and that really helped them. But they did play well, and I think this is an Arkansas team that really, I mean, it doesn't scare me that much. There's nothing that I look at on this Arkansas team, and I think if I compare it to Texas in this matchup, where I feel like I have a genuine concern about what Texas is going to be able to do with them. So I don't think this is going to be like a blowout or anything, but I do think that Texas is probably more likely to win by 10 than win by less than 7.
So I have some good news for you guys. A very reputable offshore book, which has a current max bet for me right now at 11,500. So it's not a little mom and pop shop, is offering Texas minus 6.5.
Oh, let's go.
Does that mean
Max it out, bud?
That's fair to me.
Max it out.
No, I already have Texas minus. What do I get? I got Texas minus 3.5. I'm not going to be playing the 6.5 for a lock, level, but I think Texas is probably the right side there. My one question with Texas is they really weren't challenged through the air by Louisiana. However, even though Arkansas has kind of a wide open, high flying offense, I'm not sure that their current quarterback situation allows them to really take advantage of that. So we'll see. More Texas defenders will be isolated in space this week just because of what Briles runs. But we'll see how that works. Treylon Burks, I believe, did practice for Arkansas. I mean, I don't want to wish injury to anybody, but I'd feel better if he didn't practice. And I think Texas is the right side.
All right.
Give me the over in this game. I think and I love your guys' side. I have too much on the board already to play it, or I would hop in with you guys.
Undisciplined.
I think Tom. I think all gas, no brakes. I think Sark wants to kind of lay it on the SEC team, but I think what Bud was alluding to, I think Arkansas's offense might be able to present more challenges to Texas defense, which we're not really sure how good they are yet. And I think you could see Sark keep running it up. This is an offense which over the last year, not just this season, offense has not been the problem. I think they'll put up plenty of points against Arkansas, but I think Arkansas may be able to move the ball a little bit more efficiently against Texas than what we saw last week. So give me the over.
We have not mentioned one of the biggest games of the weekend. Ohio State, Oregon. If Ohio State gets off the bus, the Buckeyes are scoring 40 over. Let's go. Lock it up.
Are you going over team total 38.5? Is that what we're doing?
I was gonna say you could do.
Or are you
team
going
total.
over for the game?
Only because I need to represent the basics. I'm going to go whole game. Okay. Someone here has to be basic, and that's me.
So you're going
R and
over
ROI
63
for
and a half.
recreation.
I've got on Croakies. I've got a Yeti cooler. I've got a Jeep Grand Cherokee. All of
really?
the basics.
Okay.
I do.
All right.
Fight.
Yes.
Fight.
You go ahead and explain your pick, and then I'll tell you why you're wrong.
Okay. So, I do think that Ohio State is going to be able to score. I don't think it will come right away. I don't think it'll be something where Ohio State is dominant, but the crux of the principle is that eventually one of these crossing routes is going to lead to a 50-yard touchdown. That if you send Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson on enough of these plays where they are schemed just wide open. Again, Ryan Day, a lot of this is respect for him and the way that he puts his best players in space to go and score touchdowns, hit explosive plays. Like CJ Stroud, he's off. But eventually, he is going to hit one of those wide receivers in stride, and they're going to be able to take it the rest of the way. Oregon has a very, very good defense. I understand that it will be much tougher for Ohio State to get touchdowns when Ohio State is in red zone situations, and I will probably need some explosive plays. But I am just relying on Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Travion Henderson, and the skill talent that Ohio State has to once again be able to take this over.
We all know how high I am on Ohio State. I mean, I picked them to win the national title. I've got Chris Olave as my Heisman underdog. I love the defense. I love everything about him. But the problem for me with the over in this game is that what we saw last week against Minnesota, I think Oregon can take a very similar approach that the Gophers took. And I think Oregon is more likely to, especially since they're the road team, whereas Minnesota was at home. And with Anthony Brown at quarterback, I think Oregon is going to try to keep the ball on the ground, run the ball. And while Ohio State's run defense performed fine overall, I think they only gave up like a little over 4 yards per carry. The fact is that Minnesota just came at them with volume and ran the ball 50 times and dominated time of possession to keep that Ohio State offense off the field. And I think Oregon's going to take a similar approach, but I also think Oregon is better equipped to maybe strike in the passing game if need be. But then on the other side of the ball, we've got Ohio State. We saw the adjustments that the Buckeyes made on offense in the second half of that game where CJ Stroud was high on all of his throws, especially anything, too far downfield. And they kind of brought things in closer to him, and they let, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Travion Henderson do their thing. Well, I don't think those guys are going to have as easy of a time doing that against the Oregon defense as they did against the Minnesota defense. And I also think that it's going to be part of the game plan for Ohio State because I do expect Kayvon Thibodeau to play, even though we don't 100% know he's day-to-day. But I do think that Oregon's pass rush, I like a couple of the guys that Minnesota has up front, like Boye Mafe, they can bring pressure. But I think Oregon's overall front seven is better than Minnesota's. And I think that's going to cause some maybe quick game kind of stuff to get the ball out quickly. So Stroud, because we haven't really seen him under pressure yet. And I think Ohio State's going to try to avoid that. So I think Ohio State's going to win. I think they could get 40 and we could still come under this total. I just don't think this is going to be as high scoring of a game as this total suggests.
Tom and I are kind of side fighting on this. I'm with Chip. I am taking the over 20.5 minus 120. Ohio State team total first half. Look, I think Ohio State's offensive line is better, right, than Oregon's defensive line.
Ooh.
Thibodeau was in a boot. So if he's going to practice, is he really 100%? And let's go back to the summer. We said a couple things. Number one, we're taking Ohio State -9 on those look-ahead lines. I feel great about that. Obviously not going to give that as a lock now, but I hope you guys listen to us over the summer and not just during the football season. Number two, in the Around the Clock series, what did the guys from Oregon 24/7 tell us? Oregon's weakness is the secondary. Ohio State has the best receiving core in the country. I'm confident that Ryan Day will find a way to pick out the duck, literally, and also, pun intended, fully, in that Oregon secondary. And I think if they get 6 drives in the first half, I'm pretty confident they'll score 3 touchdowns. Moorhead, I think they could try to go slow, but they don't like to go slow. Like they were a top quartile tempo team for me last year. They were also top quartile, team tempo wise to start the year. I like the over 20.5 here. I also like the team total. For the lock stuff, I'll go 20.5 team total over first half.
I don't know playing this game, but I think it's a higher scoring game. I think Ohio State has their way. You said pick out the duck. I mean, wasn't that an Urban Meyer thing? What was it, find the fish or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
So he's gonna find their weakness and exploit it. And I think CJ Stroud's first half was probably the worst against Minnesota, maybe the worst he's going to look all year. Like he's got that out of his system. Now he kind of settle in. He's playing at home. I think they have their way. I'm not playing it because I don't know about Thibodeau. I don't know what he's going to do. Like I want to curious to see what happens with him. Ultimately, does a defender like him make that much of a difference in a game? He could impact it, but I don't know if it's going to make that much of a difference. So I like Ohio State to win. That number's a little bit too rich for me.
All right. How many do we have left before we get to Moneyline Sprinkles?
I have 3.
8 or 9. I love it. Tom's behind. Let's go, Tom.
I only have 3 left, though.
I'm running low.
All right.
Which one of you, hey, listen, which one of you is going to come out and say it? Okay?
Say what?
Yeah. Which one of you is turning your attention to a game? You know what? Fine. Vandy. So if you really are feeling
Are you going to do it?
Yes,
All right.
I am locking up Vandy because I heard a lot of talk in the hallways of the office here, the digital office, that we were wondering if it was going to be appropriate to fade Barton, Clarkley, and Vandy against Colorado State. And if you are concerned based on what happened in the opener for Vanderbilt and the long road ahead that it might be before that program is where it wants to be, I understand. But against Steve Adazio, that is preposterous. I will not let that stand without some kind of defense. So give me Vandy. Anchor down. Go Doors.
Counselor, you open the door. Lock fight. I was not going to bring this up. But if you're going to introduce that into evidence, I'm absolutely coming over to their side. Colorado State is the right side here, right? The team that Vanderbilt lost to is not a good FCS team. The team that Colorado State lost to might be the best FCS team in the country. Lock fight.
Lock agreement.
I like Barton too much to
Lock
play.
agreement with who?
With Chip. I am not abandoning
Danny,
the
come on.
Vanderbilt Commodores. Listen, they had a rough first week. Colorado State had a rougher first week. Vandy's going to be fine. They're going to go on the road. They're going to win this game, but I'm going to take the 7 points.
Yeah. I'm going to take those 7 points. Anchor down. Let's go. Okay. I'm going to save that one for Moneyline Sprinkle. Bud, do you really have 8 or 9 left?
Yeah.
All
Rattle them off.
Let's get weird. Let's go fast. Okay. UMass plus 38. I just think the number's too high.
Robbie, is that you? Sorry.
Yeah. I'm taking UMass 38. If you can only find 37.5, I'll take that too. Here's one for you. Let's play against contact tracing. Last week, Georgia State got absolutely housed. They're going to get a lot of guys back this week. Give me Georgia State plus 26.5 against the Heels. I'm looking for the back door there. Georgia State plays pretty damn fast. I think the numbers have over-adjusted because people probably don't pay attention to Georgia State. They're getting some COVID guys back this week. I'm excited about that one. Troy plus 4.5 against Liberty. I already bet it at 6.5 and 6. I think that Troy can win that game. Missouri plus 5.5. You guys on the group text know I was a sicko last week. Y'all were watching the good games. I was live betting the hell out of ULM Kentucky. And what I noticed was Kentucky didn't give up a whole lot of yards. However, ULM managed to get a lot of guys open against Kentucky's defense. They just couldn't hit them or couldn't catch the ball. I think ULM is in the conversation for the worst team in the sport, along with like UMass, UConn, New Mexico State, Akron. probably.
Mhm.
I think that the Alpha Nerd is going to find a way to score some points here, and I think Missouri is going to upset Kentucky. So go ahead and give me those.
Right
Chip's
there
got
with
one.
you. Yeah, I don't.
Same.
Oh, same? Yes.
Yeah, I'm in.
Oh, let's go.
Alpha Nerd, let's go. I think that Missouri can win the game. And that's why earlier I was like, maybe I'll save it for Moneyline Sprinkles. But let's. Who says you can't double up? Yeah, I think Missouri absolutely has a chance. Might be the better team, and I like the value here.
All right. Let's go Pitt -3. Pitt has seen this offense before. It's not going to be new. If you recall, Pitt played against UCF twice, and I do think that Narduzzi understands how to play it. I don't know what Tennessee is going to do at quarterback. Joe Milton is not really very good. If the rumors about Hooker missing part of camp and maybe coming back, are true, okay, but I'm willing to play against that. Go ahead and give me Pitt. Can I get 2.5? Probably not, right?
Not that I can see. Hold on.
All right, I'm fine with my 3. That's
Yeah,
no problem
You're
there.
gonna have to
for
live
me.
with the 3.
Yeah, Narduzzi is a favorite. I rarely do that. Anybody on that one?
I like it, but I'm not playing it.
Narduzzi also, while Narduzzi as a favorite gives you worthy pause, there is a good trend for Narduzzi on either side of, Tom, is it 4?
Small spreads. Yeah, little close games. Hold on. I got it written down
It's
here.
a Narduzzi small dog, Narduzzi small favorite. Once he's within that window,
Between 3.5s.
between the 3.5s, and do
He's
you have the
13, 5, and 3 against the spread. Anytime, anywhere between -3.5 and +3.5. So that little touchdown around the 0 there, he usually does well.
I also played the overnight game, but it's too high now to give out. Let's go. Can we put? Where's this comment at? He had. Give me Alexander Puchalowski's comment on the screen.
which
If we can
the
drag
first
it over.
half one?
Bud, give us those first half plays. We got some
Yeah.
first half plays for you. All right, let's go to Denver. Texas A&M travels out to Denver. I teased this at the beginning of the show. I think Jimbo's trying to play faster, right? So we saw it in the spring game. We also saw it in the opening game. They were playing with more tempo. I'll hit you with this stat. Last year, Texas A&M, in my tempo ratings, was 111th, right? They were 101st in average seconds left on the play clock. One game, massive improvement to 8th. I think Jimbo is speeding things up because kids in the state of Texas play those wide open spread offenses in high school, and I think they're more comfortable playing fast. So I'm betting Texas A&M -9 in the first half, and I'm also thinking that A&M's run defense is going to play a little bit better than it did last week. So go ahead and give me Colorado under 7 team total in the first half. Let's get weird.
Under 7?
Under 7.5 first half. I'm seeing on Penny. That's -$1.25 if we think the juice is unfair.
I have a play on this game as well.
What you got?
It's kind of along the same lines of what you're talking about with the team tempo and all that kind of stuff. I'm taking for the entire game A&M's team total over 33.5.
I like that too.
I don't trust Colorado's defense whatsoever.
Lock agreement. Let's go. I'm jumping in with you.
I think I'm tapped out.
I got one more.
All right.
And then I'm totally done.
Okay.
Okay.
Buffalo.
I thought about going Buffalo. I did.
thought about going. I'm
I
leaving
still don't trust Nebraska's offense.
Yeah.
Give me Akron team total under 21.5. It's an even money bet. Kind of makes up for me going -125 on my Colorado team total. That's +100. Akron team total under 21.5. I think Temple's defense will shut them down. I do not trust Akron to score.
Disgusting. Right. That is a sick game.
I've got one lock left. I don't know how the rest of you guys.
No, I'm just out till money lines.
My last one, I'm going back to the same. Well, I lost with it last week, but I'm not giving up the faith. And I think that this is still a very good spot. And I do think that this line could possibly be wrong. I am taking San Diego State +2.5 at Arizona. I don't think Arizona is a good football team. I think San Diego State's a pretty good football team. And Arizona lost to a BYU team that I do not have high expectations for this year, and they didn't really look great in that game. I think they're going to play a San Diego State team that, honestly, I feel like in the trenches, the Aztecs probably are better. So if I'm getting them as a dog in this spot, I know it's Jed Fish's first home game, and it's the big deal. But yeah, give me the Aztecs.
Love it. All right. That means if y'all are ready, are all the locks out? Danny, you tapped?
Tapped out. Let's go.
Let's take it to the big cash register for the Moneyline Sprinkles. For a review of the Moneyline Sprinkles, let's see, 2021.
We are killing it.
We are crushing the sprinkles.
Yeah, that is ridiculous.
So we have Tom is 3-0 on the Moneyline Sprinkles, hitting on Illinois, Georgia, and Penn State. Chip is 3-1, hitting on Illinois, UCLA, and Maryland, losing New Mexico State. That was disrespectful to UTEP. I'm still upset about that. UCLA hits for Danny, and Bud has Maryland and Virginia Tech both hitting. Tom, you are 3-0. You are up 5.6 units. What are your Moneyline Sprinkles this week?
Well, I didn't lock it up with you on your lock unity, but I am including it on the Moneyline Sprinkle because I feel like this is a situation where Mizzou's either going to win or Kentucky will cover. So I am locking up for my Moneyline Sprinkle, the first of two, Mizzou plus 180.
Yeah, right there with you. It did not get taken off my card. I'm also on Mizzou as well.
And then I have a second one, and it is, hold on, I got to find it here. It's Texas State, sorry, Brandon, plus 105 against FIU.
There are some gross games this week.
That is very much a disgusting game, but I'm really, really looking forward to my fighting Spavs taking it to the Panthers.
I mean, that's got like Facebook written all over it as your option of how to watch it. I'm gonna have to like a page and get emails for the next 3 years just so that I can watch Texas State and FIU.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness! All right, so I'm up next. I'm also on Missouri, as I mentioned. I will also be doing San Diego State on the money line, and I will also be throwing on the money line Appalachian State. Give me the big value.
Wow.
Give me
Lock
the
it up.
chance. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
You're both doing App State?
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. You're all insane. Let's see. I get you 275.
Yeah.
Sleepy atmosphere. There are going to be nobody at this game. Miami doesn't want to play this one. They got absolutely blasted. I'm with you on this one. I actually I don't know. I like this one a lot. Is that all of yours? I'm actually with you on the San Diego State as well.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's all mine. I just had 3.
And then I'll throw in one more. I have 2 more. Rice playing at home against Houston. If anybody noticed last week, Rice was beating Arkansas 10-7 at the half. Kind of the depth of Arkansas came into play in the second half. I think Rice is a pretty tough out for Houston. I'm not sold on Dana Holgerson's experiment there with Clayton Tune. I'm not sold on them yet. I think it's like one of those Super Bowl type games for Rice as well. And then Bud asked before about the public aspect of NC State, Mississippi State. This is more of a fade the ACC type play. I'm going to take Mississippi State at home to win outright against the Wolfpack.
I don't hate it. I mean, clearly I hate it, but I get it.
Right.
2 things. Number one, I forgot to drop the dentist pick. The dentist, you reminded me, Danny. He is on NC State minus 2.5.
Love to see that.
No bias
bias
at all,
in
of
there.
course, there as an Ole Miss guy. Yeah.
All right, what else you got?
What else you got, Danny?
That's it for me. That's a wrap on my sprinkles.
I got Syracuse.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I'm looking to play Syracuse on the alt lines. Rutgers offense is trash. And their average starting field position before garbage time was their own 48. They had a 56-yard return on a free kick following a safety. They did a lot of unsustainable stuff, and I'm I'm in on Rutgers here. I'm also looking to play Rutgers -8 plus 280. Or excuse me, Syracuse minus plus 280. I'm not buying Rutgers, and give me the Qs.
The Dino drop. If Syracuse wins, hey, Cover 3 Film Room, we are so glad you're back. By the way. Like, love to see you back in the house.
Hey, we have some swag for Cover 3 Film Room too, if he will actually give us his contact info, or her.
Syracuse wins, we play the Dino drop on Saturday night. Okay? In its entirety. The dome will be electric. So open your eyes, and we might get Dino drop. Go Cuse, and the special teams will be well coached.
It will be.
To review our locks for week 2. Tom is on Service Academy unders. Chip is also there with him. Tom is on the under 48.5. That is a lock fight with Danny, who's on the over for Michigan, Washington. We've got a 2-on-1 bar fight right here with Iowa and Iowa State. Tom is taking Iowa plus 4.5, as is Bud, while Danny is on Iowa State -4. My play for that game is on the under 46. Tom's got Ball State plus 23. The Texas A&M team total over 33.5. Texas -6.5. Oregon, Ohio State under 64. Vandy plus 7. San Diego State plus 2.5. Chip's got Service Academy under, App State plus 9, under in the Cyhawk, NC State -2.5, Oklahoma State -13, Texas -6.5, the over in Oregon, Ohio State, Vandy plus 7, Mizzou plus 5.5. Danny, Washington plus 7, over Michigan, Washington, Iowa State -4, Illinois plus 10, Tulsa plus 13.5, Western Kentucky plus 7, the over 52 in Army, Western Kentucky, the over 56, over Army in the house, Danny, for Texas and Arkansas, Mizzou plus 5.5, Bud, Washington plus 7, the first half under 24.5, and Cal-ECU, Iowa plus 4.5, NC State -2.5, Texas A&M team total over 33.5, the Ohio State first half team total over 20.5, UMass plus 38, Colorado State -7, Mizzou plus 5.5, Texas A&M first half -9, Georgia State plus 26.5, Pitt -3, Troy -4.5, Colorado first half team total under 7, Tulsa first half team total under 8.5, and Akron team total under 21.5.
No one wants Kansas getting 26 Friday night.
No.
Coastal. The play there is Coastal.
Yeah, I know.
The only question is pace. If you just do like if you cap this game at a normal number of possessions, Coastal blows them out, like big time blows them out. Coastal plays slow. You kind of need to treat them as like a pseudo service academy. Yeah, but I don't know how bad Kansas' defense is yet. I'm very confident Kansas' offense sucks. They have 3.4 yards to play against an FCS team, which is really bad. If Coastal hits explosive plays, I think they'll win this thing. If they don't, if they're like kind of methodical like they normally are, then I could see them winning by like 20 or 24. You know what I mean?
I think I live bet the under on that Kansas South Dakota game 4 times.
I did too.
I won all 4. I won all 4.
So, but we look at that one. Jack coming in with a Buffalo Moneyline Sprinkle against Nebraska.
That line keeps climbing. Just wait. I'll wait on it.
We might have to start a Cover 3 sports book because I've seen like bets made in here. Like, yeah, I'll take that. We might have to start our own book.
Bro, I saw someone's Cash App information getting exchanged in the chat.
Exactly.
We've got side action.
We can get a cut of that.
Dudes.
Yeah, hey, listen, we are thankful. I'll tell you what, because we are not taking juice from the side bets that are going on in the chat, like and subscribe to the Cover 3 podcast on YouTube. That's all we're asking. That is our handle right there, is just to get your like and your subscribe. And of course, just tell a friend, because it is, this is one of the best ways that you can get yourself ready for the college football weekend. Reminder, Saturday night is live. So that means that you want to make sure that you're following us on Twitter. You're following the show on Twitter at Cover 3 Podcast. We've got the Michigan-Washington game that I imagine we at least will wait until that outcome is determined, and maybe about 15 minutes after, just so that we can get set and everyone can finish their responsibilities for CBSSports.com, CBS Sports HQ, seeing how the day goes. But if you follow us, Michigan-Washington post game is probably the best bet for our live show. Subscribers to the podcast, you of course will be able to find it on Sunday morning for your chores, for your exercise, for your run, or so that you and your entire family can sit together and listen to the reaction shows, which I know is a regular routine for so many of you awesome Cover 3 listeners out there. You can follow him on Twitter at Tom Fernelli. You can follow him at Danny Cannell. You can follow him at Bud Elliott 3. You can follow me at Chip_Patterson. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Got it.
See ya.